Hey YouTube, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the 2025 NFL Draft. If you weren't aware, I'm breaking down every single draft pick in the draft. I've been talking about every single team. I'm going alphabetical by city. If you want to see all the other NFL Draft reviews, all you have to do is go down here to playlist, click on the 2025 NFL Draft Reviews and Assessments, and you'll see how I broke down all the other teams. So every single year, I talk about every pick. I try to give you guys an assessment of what they're doing and how they're doing it. I also try to tell you guys why I think a team made a good pick versus a bad pick. What usually happens in these videos is like fans of the team will always show up and just tell me I'm wrong. They drafted all great players. That's such a rarity. That's absurd. All these players will make the team and they'll be future stars and there's a reason they drafted them. However you justify it in your mind is your business. It doesn't really work with me. Okay? Just letting you know that right now. So first and foremost, the Rams did not have a first-round draft pick, so they had a second-round pick, and they go out and they get Terrence Ferguson. Now, they wanted to address the tight end position. If you know, Higbee is 32 years old, didn't have a great year, and they don't have a lot of depth behind him, so it makes sense they got Terrence Ferguson. This is the all-time leading receiving tight end in Oregon history. I think he's a great player, one of the best tight ends in the draft, if not, top 2 or 3, and just a great player to draft. Good, smart decision to do. You need him. Go get him. I think that's a winner. That's a guy you want on your team. And if you go look, they did sign other tight ends. And I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to control scroll just a little bit here. They did sign other tight ends that were undrafted free agents. Guys that are pretty damn good, like Mark Redmond. He transferred to Louisville for his final year, but he's a former San Diego State tight end. So it's a local thing where they probably saw him play while he was at San Diego State, the scouts. Another guy they signed was, excuse me for a second. I got to make sure this doesn't come on. Another guy they signed is Anthony Torres, the tight end from Toledo. Very good player. So you just got guys, camp bodies, and guys to be in there and put in some work. But I think they found their answer at tight end. I thought it was a good draft pick. Okay. In the third round, they go get Josiah Stewart. Josiah Stewart is a guy who was a complete stud at Coastal Carolina, transferred to Michigan, and didn't look like he couldn't handle the big stage. He played well. I thought he played even better at Michigan, surrounding him with better players. When you see a player go from the group of 5 to the power 4 or power 5, however you want to, whatever numbers you want to count, and you see their production increase and you see them play better, you better start believing in that player. And Josiah Stewart, in my pre-draft podcast, and you can see those on the live tab on YouTube, and you can see me talk about all the different players. Josiah Stewart was one of my favorite defensive ends in the draft. He really is. Now, he's only 6'1", so they're going to tell you he's too small to play edge and to play, be a rusher. And I'm going to just tell you guys like this. He metrically is small, but he don't play small. He don't play tiny. Size doesn't matter. At least that's what my ex-wife used to tell me all the time to boost my confidence. I'm telling you right now, Josiah Stewart, size don't matter. That guy's got it. He's got the juice. I like everything about him. Speaking of size don't matter, Jarquez Hunter, the porn star's here. Shout out to Jarquez Hunter, the Auburn running back, famously had a video leaked of him having intercourse with a woman. Hey, shout out to him. So close to Atlanta, you thought it'd be a dude. Nonetheless, Jarquez Hunter can play some football. 2-year starter at Auburn. I think he's a very good running back. The running back room in the Rams, right, in LA, doesn't impress me that much. Like, you guys might take offense to that, but I'm going to tell you, running backs like Blake Corum and them guys, he's not that talented. I hate to say that. What I'm saying is if we had tryouts tomorrow with no jerseys on, Jarquez Hunter has a chance to be your starting running back or in the rotation immediately. He's that talented. Okay, he's a very good running back. So, shout out to him. I thought they did well there. Then we're going to get to Ty Hamilton, starting defensive tackle for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, defensive tackles are getting drafted like they're fucking quarterbacks. And what I mean by that is they're reaching for these guys. They drafted 6 of them in the first round. They just drafted a ton of defensive tackles everywhere. So you get to the 5th round, and you see this team give up a 6th and a 4th rounder to move up. You heard me right. They gave up a 6th and a 4th rounder next year to move up in the 5th round to draft this young man. They had to think he's better than a 4th round pick. That's absurd. You could trade up. You can give up 4th rounders to move up in the 3rd round or the 2nd round. But to move up in the 5th round, you're giving up it doesn't make sense to me. I thought it was a terrible pick because of the draft equity that they gave up. The draft currency that they gave up is absurd to go and get this young man. Now, he is a very good defensive tackle. Played over 1,100 snaps in the A-gaps. Like, he's a problem up front, right? That's cool. But I don't give up that kind of draft capital to get this. If I can't just sit back and wait for him in the 5th round, then what are we doing? All right? That's absurd. In the next round, they get Chris Paul Jr. I was very surprised to see Chris Paul Jr. fall this far in the draft. The NFL just doesn't like drafting linebackers very high. This is a young man, and I'm talking about inside linebackers. This is a young man that was a rising star at Arkansas. Then he transfers, and he goes to Ole Miss, and he leads them in tackles last year. I still think he should have returned for one more year. He would have been a third-round pick. He would have improved his NFL draft stock and maybe get in that pecking order a little differently. This is a very good player, a young stud. Just always looked the part to me. And I studied that Arkansas linebacker room because I like Brad Spence so much. And Brad Spence, shout out to him. He's going to tear it up at Texas, and people don't know. Like, people just don't know what I'm talking about. When I see tape on these linebackers, they're great. And Chris Paul Jr. is one of those good linebackers, so I like him a lot. Good draft pick. Shout out to him. And then a throwaway pick in the 7th round, Kanata Mumfield out of Pitt. This is not a good draft pick. This is a guy I don't even think should make the team. This is a loaded wide receiver room. You need to get some skill players. And when you go look at the transactions and you go see who they signed after the draft, and you start seeing players that you think can make the team, we go down here, and sure enough, let me just scroll down right here. First and foremost, Sean Dullock's an amazing linebacker out of Buffalo. What a great signing. You go and get him. Jamil Muhammad, a little undersized as well, used to play linebacker at FIU, I believe, then went to USC. Mario Williams, former USC wide receiver, went to Tulane for his final year. But this is another example of where they scouted the hell out of these players years in advance. It doesn't matter what they did last year. A lot of these guys have connections to the West Coast in Southern California, right? They bring in Ben Dooley, Willie Lampkin, the 5'11 guard who's just a beast of a player at North Carolina. But before that, I think he was at Coastal Carolina or Rhode Island. One of the two. I think it's Coastal Carolina. Willie Lampkin's just a monster. So there's another good player to get. Okay. True Edwards was trying to get an extra year of eligibility, was supposed to go to Kentucky. He wrote to me on Twitter, said, hey, man, my waiver got denied. I'm going to be with the Rams. And he's out here trying to make it with the Rams. Shout out to him. True Edwards. He's the son of a former college great, Troy Edwards. Troy Edwards? Troy Edwards. Troy Edwards, the La Tech wide receiver. Shout out to him. Bill Norton, former defensive tackle with Georgia. Never saw the field. Transferred to Arizona. Transferred to Texas. This is just a body. Just a body in the A-gaps. Brennan Presley probably should have been drafted. Shout out to the Presley brothers doing everything they could at Bixby. Never lost a single game at Bixby in high school. Went to Oklahoma State. What did he do? Catch over 100 receptions in a year. Dominated in the Big 12. Brennan Presley's a hell of a player. I thought he would get drafted. I would have drafted him over Mumfield in a heartbeat. But he's small. I know. Okay, I already talked about Redmond. Think he's good. Jordan Waters, former Duke running back, transferring to North Carolina State for his final year. Good player. Get him in camp. I don't think he makes the team, but he's a body and he's trying. Everybody else, nobody really moves me. Yeah. Okay. So all in all, not a terrible draft. Just thought one throwaway pick at the end. Everybody else is a pretty good player. Yeah, I wouldn't have traded up to get all that for Ty Hamilton. Just wouldn't. I would let him fall to you, bro. It's the 5th round. You don't have to give up a 4th for the next year. That's not good. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.